What's up, guys? Mason LeBron Henderson here, and this is Gotham Season 4, Episode 18. That's entertainment! So, yeah, this show for a long time has been showing that it's Jerome's show. At least for this season. Say what you will about the other seasons, he wasn't really a part of it, but, this season really has been leading to Jerome. There have been some other stories going on with, Riddler coming back. You got the League of Assassins popping up every now and then. But realistically, this is what it's been leading to. The people, the prisoners escaping from Arkham, Jerome leading this just group of pretty much his band of merry men. And you've got what's his name? Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, Firefly. And then Mr. Freeze and Cobblepot are a part of it as well. But this is pretty much what it's been building to. People getting put in Arkham, even Cobblepot getting put in Arkham. It's all been building to this, and it's just so much fun to watch. And like the title of the episode says, it's entertaining. So love getting to see them once again interacting with each other. Seeing Jerome in charge of the show again. Just on the news, in front of a group of people. That's really where he shines, is whenever he's got a crowd, an audience to watch his little show. So I just love whenever he gets into that moment, because you can see it. You can see how much he's enjoying himself. But pretty much he kidnaps a lot of the town's officials and puts them on the stage where a rock band is playing, and just tells them, look, I want my brother, I want Bruce up here, and if not, I'm going to blow up all of these people's heads. And ends up blowing up everyone but the mayor's heads. So I don't know. I kind of feel like if you're an elected official in Gotham, you got to understand that your lifespan is probably going to be limited as soon as you get elected. But whatever the case, Jim is trying to figure out a way around it. So Lucius comes up with this device that they put on Bruce, where when it goes up there, it sort of shorts out the switch to blow up the bombs on the people's necks. And so they get him up there, and Jim tells the guys to take a shot, but before they do, they get killed instead. And so now it's kind of like, well, now what do we do? And you can see Jerome trying to mess with Jeremiah a little bit, talking to him, telling him, look, we're from the same blood. It doesn't matter the fact that we had different parents. It doesn't matter we had different upbringings. You're still as crazy as I am. You just haven't gotten it released yet. And so you can kind of see where this is going. You know that he's trying to bring that out in Jeremiah. And I kind of got a sense of that from the very beginning anyway. Even from some of the Twitter posts from Gotham, which unfortunately still continue to spoil me because I'm not caught up yet. You could tell they were trying to build up this whole, is it really Jerome that's the Joker, or is it possibly Jeremiah that's the Joker? And based on what we see, I kind of get a sense that it's going to end up being Jeremiah. But we do see Jim does manage to find a way to stop it for the moment. Cobblepot, he does betray Jerome at first, telling Jim sort of the plan, and then ends up getting captured because they know that he betrayed them. And then he gets put on the blimp that's about to release this Joker toxin, laughing gas, among this entire crowd of people. And so Penguin calls Jim, is like, I'm on this blimp, what do I do? And Jim sort of tells him, look, we need you to help us out. Stop the blimp, stop the guy from releasing the gas, get it over a river where we don't have to worry about anything. And so he does do that. Kind of a funny little thing at the end. Jim's trying to figure out how to get the blimp down, and Harvey's just like, I think we should just leave him up there for a few hours. It was funny. I love that little part. You can see Cobblepot, Jim! I liked it. It was funny. But ultimately, they do manage to sort of get a little bit of an attack going. The police officers go and take down the guys on the roof, Jerome's guys. And so Jim sees an opportunity to go up and sort of take them on. Bruce helps out as well. He takes on Firefly. So Jim takes a shot, knocks Jerome back with a bullet to the shoulder, and so he runs away. So he's chasing him down. They get to the top of this roof, and I love the little interchange here, because you can see, first of all, he's trying to tell the guy to release the gas. And of course Jim is like taking shots, knocked the phone out of his hand. He tells him to release the gas. He shoots him in the stomach. And then his reaction, well, that's funny. And then falls off. And of course, at that point, I'm thinking, oh, he's gone. And then Jim goes over to him and he's hanging onto a light fixture. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like he's going to survive. Like, it looks like he's trying to pretty much die. And then Jeremiah's probably going to become the new Joker somehow, with the laughing gas. But I'm thinking to myself, so why do this? Why have him hang on instead of just having him fall off? And it's because of this little interchange here. We get a nice little back and forth where Jim's trying to help him. He's like, always a good guy, Jim. That's why I'm going to outlive you. Because, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And then Jim's just like, that's a long fall. Are you sure you're going to outlive me? And he's like, oh, see, I'm a man with a philosophy. And that philosophy is going to live way past me. Be seeing you around, Jim. And then falls to his death. In typical Joker fashion, laughing at the top of his lungs. So it's just a brilliant way for his character to go out, and you kind of get a sense that, kind of similar to when he first died in the second season, and all these people were watching his performance, and you could see some of them laughing at it. You kind of get a sense that he has the same idea here. Yes, he's going out. Yes, he's dying, but he does have a plan to sort of stick around, live on through Jeremiah. And so whenever Jeremiah gets this little present, at first I'm thinking to myself, is he really going to open that and just like, oh yeah, let's open this and then get sprayed with the gas? Like, he's not that dumb. He's pretty smart. So, and then he looks at the tag and it says Wayne Enterprises. And while I still think he should have looked at the box and said, okay, this isn't from Bruce. This is clearly a setup. I do think the fact that they put Wayne Enterprises on there makes me think, okay, so there is a reason why this smart guy looked at this and said, maybe it actually is a present from someone else, not my brother. But yeah, so obviously he opens it up, gets sprayed with the gas, and then starts laughing. And even like the formation of his face, it just makes me believe this is the Joker. This is how he came to be. Which, like I said, when we first got introduced to him, there is a part of me that thinks, do we really want to see how the Joker came to be? And whenever he died in the second season and all these people were watching the TV and, some of these people were crazy and just laughing at him and laughing at his antics, part of me was thinking, okay, so maybe we're not really seeing the Joker. Maybe we're seeing how how that idea came to be formed. Not necessarily the guy behind, the face paint and the clown makeup and all of that. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing how he came to be the Joker, but we are seeing how the idea of the Joker was formed. And that kind of kept true to the character. We don't really know much about him. However, with this, it kind of feels like, yes, Jeremiah is the Joker, and so now we know exactly how he came to be. And there is a part of me that's like the true Batman fan that is kind of like, I don't really want to know. That was one of the best things about the Joker's character, is the fact that we didn't know. We didn't know anything about him. He was always a mystery. He was always telling different stories about how, how he became crazy, how his face became deformed, all that stuff. So there is a part of me that's just like, I don't know if I like the fact that we know. But there's also a part of me that's just like, I don't mind seeing Cameron Monaghan get to continue to be this character through another character, through his twin brother. And on top of that, who knows, maybe Jeremiah, he'll play this Joker a little bit differently. Because Jerome, you can kind of see where his character has evolved through all of the disfiguring and, through all the stuff that he's been through. He's not the Joker we saw in the first season, which really did feel like Mark Hamill's Joker almost. This one definitely felt like a mixture between Heath Ledger's Joker and maybe a little bit of the Mark Hamill Joker. So now, how is he going to play it now that Jeremiah is becoming the Joker character? Is he going to be different than Jerome? Is it going to be the exact same? I'll be curious to see. And I'm also curious to see how much Jeremiah is going to play into the rest of the season. Because, who knows, maybe he just won't show up. Maybe he'll kind of disappear for a little while. I don't know. I'm curious, though. The other things going on this episode, first of all, kind of a tiny little thing. We see Bruce and Alfred. It's Bruce's birthday, which kind of felt a little bit just out of nowhere and didn't really play into anything, because ultimately Bruce ends up going up on stage with Jerome anyway. But Alfred gets him, I guess, the primordial Batmobile. It's black. It's got bulletproof windows and armor. you kind of look at it and say, okay, so this is like Batmobile 1.0 before he has the idea of being Batman and turning it into a true Batmobile. But this is where it all started. So he gets that. Selena comes over and says, happy birthday. You kind of get a sense that she knew it was his birthday, and so she came over, but she doesn't want to pretend like, oh, I'm doing something nice. So she's like, oh, I didn't know it was your birthday. I don't know, just a funny little thing. We also see Barbara and Tabitha, they're still running their club. This guy comes in because Tabitha threw out his brother and embarrassed him, and he's kind of threatening her, and then Barbara steps in, and she's like, what, are you actually threatening us? And he's like, well, I can do whatever I want. And then she's like, that's what I thought. And then all of a sudden, like, all these little, like, ninja stars come around their heads. Slow motion, so it's pretty cool to see how it was so close to hitting them, but they had that much precision to miss them and hit the guys behind them. I don't know. It kind of feels like a pointless slow-mo, but at the same time, it's cool to see just how good these assassins are at their jobs. And then they take out all the guys, but the head lady that's, I guess, I don't even know what to call her, because Barbara is the leader right now of these assassins. But there's this woman who kind of seems like she is the right-hand woman, or the one that all of these women look up to. She tells Barbara, yes, you are a leader, however, you're just kind of still running this club. Don't you feel like, as the Demon's Head, you should be doing more, continuing Raish's legend? And that's when we get into more of, what Raish's plan was. Something about, like, trying to remake the world in his image type of thing. So, I don't know. I'm not really sure where this is going. We do see Tabitha, of course, is like, this is all stupid. This isn't the Barbara I know. And I do have to wonder, is Barbara right now, with the whole Demon's Head, is it something where Raish did something to her, and now she's kind of being controlled by him now? But ultimately, Tabitha gets tossed out, gets the crap kicked out of her, and then these guys, who apparently don't think Barbara is actually the Demon Head, they think she's just a pretender, they go to her and like, look, we want to help you get Barbara back because we don't think she's the Demon's Head either. So I'll be curious to see where that's going. And aside from that, I mean, that's pretty much all that happens in this episode. Obviously, most of it was focused on where it should have been, Jerome and his plans. So I like the fact that they kept the focus where it should be. Yes, there are some other side stories going on, but for the most part, everything is focused right now on the inmates that escaped from Arkham. And it kind of feels like that's where the rest of the season is going to lead to, is just trying to get them back into Arkham, trying to stop what Jerome has cooked up. Because I'm sure, that's why I think Jeremiah probably will play it more into this season. Because this is part of Jerome's plan as well, is having Jeremiah sort of take over the mantle of this Joker character. So, yeah, I'm curious to see where it's going, but that's it for this episode, so on to the next one. See you there. And now, episode 19, To Our Deaths and Beyond! That's all I can think of whenever I hear this. Basically, pretty much a story about Barbara in this one, which I find very interesting, just because it's been so much about the inmates that escaped from Arkham for the past several episodes. I figured that was going to be the entire last part of this season, is trying to get them back into Arkham. But it's like the entire plot just takes a break for this one episode to focus a little bit more on Lee Enigma and Barbara and the League of Assassins going on. I don't really know why. But the main story for this one, Tabitha has Selena bring her Bruce, so that way the remaining remnants of the former League of Assassins can use Bruce's blood to bring Raish back to life somehow, because, nobody really dies on the show, and have Raish sort of take back the power of the Demon's Head away from Barbara. Ultimately, though, nothing happens there. And that's the big problem for me in this one, is that all of this feels like it's just to bring Raish back. But that's about the only thing that changes. Nothing else does. He comes back. We do get to see Barbara use the power of the Demon's Head, which is pretty interesting, because at one point he stabs her and I'm like, oh, Barbara's dead. And then she uses the power, and then it's almost like she brings herself back to a few seconds before. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the point of this is. But somehow she's able to reverse time. It's almost like watching the end of Doctor Strange again. She dies, and then she uses the power of the Demon's Head, reverses it, and then he goes to stab her. She dodges out of the way and then fights him off. I guess because now she knows how he's going to attack. And then he threatens Tabitha's life, and she says, I'm not giving this to you. He kills her. She reverses time again, and then gives it to him. And ultimately, I mean, that was pretty cool, but it doesn't lead to anything except for she still gives him the power of the demon's head anyway. Then what was the point of all that? Was it just to show us what the power of the demon's head can do? I just don't understand that. But ultimately, like I said, she gives him that power. He has now fully come back. And then Bruce is like, let me kill you again. He's like, no, I'm not going to die today. And then leaves. But ultimately, like I said, this doesn't change anything. You would think, okay, well, that means that Barbara now has this power taken away from her. But at the end of the episode, what happens? The women come back and they're just like, you gave up the power to save someone close to you. You are still worthy of the power of the demon's head, and kneel to her. I'm just like, so ultimately her giving up the power to Ra's changes nothing. She still has all these women working for her. Okay, then what was the point of this episode? I mean, I get the fact that you're trying to bring Ra's back and that's going to have something to do with Bruce becoming the Dark Knight or whatever. But then why couldn't we do this in a different way? And ultimately, why couldn't we have it where Barbara now doesn't have this power anymore, doesn't have these women working for her? Because then it just feels like, well, none of that means anything for Barbara. Things have not changed for her aside from the fact that she doesn't have this power. So I'm just a little bit disappointed that they didn't really do much else with that other than she gives him the power and that's it. She still has these women working for her. Now Tabitha obviously is more, I guess, willing to work with her because before she didn't really like what Barbara had become. There's a little bit more with Selena in this episode as well. First, whenever they go and get the knife back, Alfred and Tabitha have like this little ploy going on, and it was pretty funny. But they get it back, and then Barbara pretty much threatens to kill Selena, Bruce, and Alfred unless Selena gives her the knife. And so Selena gives them the knife because she doesn't want them to die. And yet Alfred still is like, I can't believe Selena gave them the knife. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm just like, you understand she saved your life, right? That's part of it. But ultimately, whenever Barbara reveals that her only plan really is to summon Ra's al Ghul with her demon's head power and then stab him with the knife, she's just like, that's a stupid plan. And then she leaves, goes to tell Bruce this, so Bruce shows up, but ultimately he doesn't do anything at the end. He's just sort of there to watch it all unfold. So yeah, all that goes on. The episode ends with, like I said, Barbara realizes the demon's head, or the assassins are still working for her, and then Ra's shows up at Bruce's house to tell him that apparently there's some sort of like catastrophe coming to Gotham that's going to awaken the Dark Knight inside of him, and he's going to be there to help guide him through that, unless it kills him. So I don't know. He sees Gotham like burning down. Maybe this is what these inmates that escape from Arkham. Maybe that's their plan, is to like cause Gotham to burn, just because that's insane. I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen, and even if it's going to happen in this season, or maybe it's going to happen next season. But ultimately, that's what he goes to tell Bruce, and then the episode ends there. So I don't really know what to expect next. But aside from that, like I said, we also explore more into Lee and Nigma. Still not really feeling this. Like, I don't know. They do mention at one point, Nigma's talking to her at the end of it, and he does mention the fact that the virus awoke something in Lee that she is now realizing is inside of her. So you could look at it and say, well, maybe that's why she's changed, and that's why she sees something in Nigma. But I still don't really see this relationship working. I understand entirely why Nigma, and even now why Riddler, really sees something in her. He explains why, and I do buy that. But I just don't see her really falling for him, or even, anything more than maybe just, maybe even a friendship is something that's still difficult to buy, but I might be able to. But to actually fall for him, I just don't see that at all. So I'm just still not really interested in it, but there were a couple things that came out of this story that were interesting. First of all, Jim, at the end of this episode, Lee says she'll cause a distraction, so of course Jim has to arrest her. And I don't know, I still feel like Jim is still reeling from her coming back and seeing her changed, seeing her running the Narrows. I think he's still going to have to deal with that, and I'm interested to see where that story's going to go. because I do think he still cares for her deeply, to the point where, he's, obviously very concerned, and even arresting her, you can see the frustration on his face that he has to do this. So I'll be curious to see where that story going. But the one big thing that I really think I really love to see more of out of this, we get to see for the first time the Riddler seeing Nigma inside of him. Because we've seen all the scenes where, Nigma, he's like freaking out and there's the Riddler in the mirror and he's just like laughing at him like, you are me, this is who you are, you have to let me out so I can play and blah, 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 all that stuff, which we've seen several times before. This is the first time that we've seen the Riddler seeing Nigma in the mirror saying, what was that line? Lee, what am I to you? That was me. And he's just like, no, I'm in control. You are nothing. You're gone. He's like, no, I'm still in there. You may be in control right now, but I'm still a part of you. So, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting to see that part of it, to see the Riddler for the first time actually shaken. He has feelings for Lee. And ultimately, he does, at the end of the episode, tell her one thing that Ed could never see in you was who you really are. Yes, he fell for you, but he didn't understand you. I do. I understand who you are and what you've become. So, like I said, it makes sense why even the Riddler has fallen for her. However, still not really buying the other side of it. But whatever the case, we do see Cobblepot and Grundy end up... He gets their help to help rob the bank, because he knew Cobblepot was going to try to rob them anyway. But he betrays them at the end because he wants to, I guess, gain Lee's trust. So, I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if this is going to lead to anything, but this is just a relationship that I'm not really buying right now. I'm just kind of like, yeah, no, I don't see it. But whatever the case, we do understand a little bit more about the Riddler side of it and what he sees in her, so that was interesting, and getting to see him freaking out a little bit was interesting as well, because we don't normally get to see that side of him. So whatever the case, that's about it for these 2 episodes, so let me know what you think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2? Let me know, we can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Gotham reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.